Live from the press box atop Dolphin Soccer Park on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet presents NCAA Division II men's soccer coverage on the ECC network. Today's matchup features the Warriors of Nyack College taking on the College of Staten Island. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joe Foreman, joined today by Nick Durst for the first time this season, bringing you all of the action during this afternoon's matchup. For us here at CSI, it has been 692 days since the last time men's soccer has taken the field here at home, and Dolphin Soccer Park looking a lot different than it did back on October 19th, 2019, when the Dolphins took on CCNY. But Nick, before we get underway with today's pregame, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that today is the 20th anniversary of September 11th, 2001, a day in which we saw the best and the worst in humanity in the terrorist attacks, of course, the World Trade Center in New York City, the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, with Flight 93 crashing down there. Any thoughts on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 ahead of today's matchup?
Yeah, obviously a very, very sad day in American history and in the world history, and obviously our thoughts are with everybody who was impacted on that day. And 20 years later, we're still feeling the impact, and it's just very upsetting. But sports have always been a great distraction. Of course, everybody always points to Mike Piazza's big home run 10 days after the attack to lead the Mets to victory. And we're going to try to offer you a distraction here this afternoon with some soccer.
And I would like to recommend, for those who have not heard it, an interview on the Dolphin Pod. David Pizzuto and I hosting that show a while back. And, of course, Dave has moved on to another department here at CSI. But he and I, when we were colleagues in sports information, had a great interview on the Dolphin Pod with former men's basketball head coach Tony Petoza talking about the Tournament of Heroes and how that came to be and how much that tournament meant to him, a weekend of basketball in which we honor former Dolphins who lost their lives on 9/11, Terrence Aiken, Scott Davidson, and Tom Hannafin. So if you haven't heard that interview, you can check it out at csidolphins.com. I think it's a great listen today on the 20th anniversary of September 11th, or whenever you have some free time in the coming weeks, you should check out that interview. And, of course, we will have the Tournament of Heroes returning in some capacity, potentially under a different name, of course, with new rules regarding tip-off tournaments. We don't know exactly when that would be, but of course that information will be posted to csidolphins.com when it becomes available. So moving on to today's matchup, the College of Staten Island Dolphins men's soccer team in their 2021 home opener taking on the Warriors of Nyack College. For the Dolphins, they come in with a record of 0-1 on the season. And Nick, I'm not sure if you saw it, but the Dolphins did make the Sports Center top 10 following their first game. Unfortunately, it wasn't for a reason they would have liked, as a highlight reel goal was scored against them early on against East Stroudsburg in a 3-0 defeat.
Yeah, unfortunately, CSI did make the Sports Center top 10, not for the reasons they want, but they're going to be getting back on the top 10 real soon. I can feel it. We have an excellent broadcast engineer joining us today, Joe Masha, who'll be making sure to get all those replays for us. Expecting a lot of goals this afternoon.
Well, we'll step aside for just a moment as the national anthem is about to be played here at the College of Staten Island. We'll be right back on the ECC Network.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor.
It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
NCAA Division II Community Engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student-athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student-athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student-athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials, live music, and the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
For me, just kind of was the glue that kept my family together, I feel like. I don't know what it was that drew me in, but after I started playing for a while and started seeing some early success as a little kid, to see how much it meant to my parents to see me play the game and try to make a difference was really what fueled me to keep playing and stay competitive. Being a triple major is not necessarily easy, but at the same time, it is what you make it. Being a tighter-knit university, I have a lot of classes with the same professors, so they know me pretty well. I think it's that personal relationship that really helped me to thrive as a student. I was able to come here and get my triple major, as well as play a super high level of baseball against some of the best players in the country. There's a lot of options here in Division II with a lot of great ball players and a lot of great people, and they make sure that they give you every opportunity to succeed on and off the field.
And welcome back to CSI Sportsnet coverage of CSI Dolphins men's soccer on the ECC network. You just missed it as you see the two teams departing the midfield circle, but a moment of silence was observed for all of those who lost their lives 20 years ago today on September 11th, 2001. Both teams meeting at midfield and standing to observe that moment of silence just about a minute ago as you see the Dolphins huddled on the right side of your screen wearing their uniforms that alternate between gray and white stripes with blue sleeves and trim along the neck and arms, gray shorts, and for Nyack College, they are wearing navy tops with white numbers and red shorts. So as we're about to get underway ahead of the start of today's game, my colleague and broadcast partner, Nick Durst, has the starting lineups for both the Dolphins and the Warriors. Nick?
All right, Joe. First for the Nyack College Warriors, Lucas. If you use Marvin Lugmeyer, Jacob Borgali, Matteo Guarini, Mitchell Reed, Javier Pozu, Erwin Bendel, Moritz Albright, Noah Brill, Alex Gazzoni, and in goal, Marco Razul. And for the College of Staten Island Dolphins, in goal is Omir Hamzusebe. Joining him on the pitch is Dennis Codicelli, Daniel Angulu, Nilton Gonzalez, Brian Kirilu, Nicholas Kashenko, Brandon Figueroa, Leandro Angulo, Michael Rofal, Bryant Navarro, and Jamal Peterson.
Thank you, Nick. As the Warriors have taken the field on the left side of your screen, the Dolphins huddled on the right side of your screen. And taking a look along the near sideline, baseball head coach Mike Morrow once again patrolling those sidelines. You see him with one of the game balls, and that might be the game ball he's holding right now as the Dolphins prepare to break their huddle and get set in position to get us underway from the College of Staten Island. This is the 2021 men's soccer home opener, and I'm not sure if you caught it, Nick, but a thrilling game on Wednesday in the women's soccer home opener, a double overtime Dolphins victory.
Yeah, amazing game there. Tied going into overtime, double OT, and the free kick to win it. That's what you like to see if you are a Dolphins fan.
So taking the coin toss of the two team captains, and it looks like that will get us set to begin here at the College of Staten Island. You see for the Dolphins wearing the neon captain's armband is returner Daniel Angulo, and wearing that armband for the Warriors of Nyack College is Mitchell Reed. So Reed and Angulo, the captains for the two sides. Only Angulo sporting an armband indicating that, as it is Bryant Navarro taking his position along the midfield stripe to get us underway. Navarro, another returning Dolphin, put up big numbers back in 2019. Dolphins will certainly be looking to him for offense this season as well. And we are underway from the College of Staten Island. Dolphins and Warriors in the Bayonne Bridge Cup. I failed to mention that during our open, but these two teams playing for a trophy in this game as two local schools face off at the College of Staten Island here on the ECC Network. Dolphins looking to cross midfield with possession, but Navarro is dispossessed, and the Warriors send it all the way back to goal. Now, I did want to mention, after you went to the starting lineups, Nick, that we have a pronunciation guide for Nyack that perhaps could use a few more names, but we have two different spellings of their goalkeeper's last name. On the pronunciation guide, we have the spelling Rossel, and then on the official roster, we have a spelling completely different. No pronunciation provided on either, so.
Yeah, sometimes you need a pronunciation guide for the pronunciations, and that might be the case this time.
For the pronunciations we were provided, they're perfectly fine, but we have two different spellings of Marco's last name, one on the pronunciation guide and one on the official roster, so I think we'll have to go with either Rossel or Rossel based on the spelling we have here. Right now, it's the Warriors possessing it down around the corner, and we may have our first corner kick of the game here.
I think so, Joe. That ball went off CSI Dolphins there.
So the Dolphins concede a very early corner kick, but neglecting to send it into the box of the Warriors. Instead, they pass and then fire across into the box. Whistle blows.
We're going to have another corner kick, I believe.
And you're right, Nick. Another corner kick upcoming, and not often we see teams send their corner kicks further back toward midfield, but a very unorthodox set piece there for the Warriors, at least based on what we've seen in the past, as the Dolphins had that corner out of danger, and trying to catch who that was that took a boot to the face down there for CSI, but it drew the foul call, and the Dolphins will receive a goal kick. I did mention Bryant Navarro right before we got underway. He scored 6 points on 2 goals and a pair of assists in 2019. One of a few Dolphins returning. I also mentioned Daniel Angulo, CSI's captain. Taking a look on the pitch for the Dolphins, Jamali Peterson, who's making that run right there. If I'm not mistaken, he's the only other Dolphin that is returning and starting in this game, though I know there are more returning Dolphins on this roster, several, in fact. Perhaps we'll get a chance to see them a bit later. Warriors with it, working along their back line. That was Bendel making that last pass, and now this is Guarini with it. Pass across midfield, intercepted by the Dolphins, and that one goes straight through the legs of Lugmeyer, and he throws in. That's Bendel with it. Gave it up to Guarini. And now the Dolphins once again intercept, this time just short of midfield, but the Warriors get it back. Bit tough to read the numbers on the front of the Warriors jerseys, much easier to see on the back. As colliding there were Brill and Cotticelli, as this is Peterson making a run. He goes down, and he wanted a whistle. He's not getting it.
I don't know, Joe. And that did not look like a flop job to me. Peterson, in my opinion, looked like he was clearly shoved.
Perhaps incidental contact. The ruling, it looked like Peterson slid in an attempt to make contact with the ball and perhaps keep that attacking play going. But it was not to be, as he went down and was called for the foul. Ball with the Warriors along the far sideline, and now back with Guarini. This is Bendel. Now back with the keeper, Rossel. And play back to Guarini along the far sideline. Plaza with it, working against a pair of Dolphins, and Javier able to navigate through that double team. Wanted a ball played through to him as he made a run along the far sideline. The Dolphins intercept, but now one Dolphin taking on 3 Warriors and can't get rid of it. He's dispossessed, and now Nyack making a move into the attacking third. Here comes Plaza. He is dispossessed, and the Dolphins looking to send play back toward the near sideline. They do, but they send the ball out of play. Throw in for the Warriors to be taken by Lugmeyer. Warriors once again moving it along the back line, side to side, playing east to west. There's a good ball toward the far sideline, but no one there to work along with Albrecht. He was dispossessed for a moment. The Dolphins do come away with it for now. That's Rofale giving it up, as it was, I believe, Milton Gonzalez who played it up to Peterson, but the Dolphins will retreat and try again. That was my mistake. That's Gonzalez along the back line there. And that ball's deflected out of play by the Warriors. Dolphins throwing upcoming. That was 17, Leandro Angulo playing along the far sideline near the top of your screen, who passed to Peterson previously. I'll try and get a feel for the positioning of the Dolphins out on the pitch early in this game. The Warriors continue to take their time, moving east to west along their back line, trying to find an opening in this Dolphins defense. That one played across the midfield stripe. This is Gazzoni with it. That ball attempted to be played through by Fiuza, and a bit too long for Reed, as I think a Dolphin did get a foot on it and knocked it away from Reed, who moves toward the corner, but this will be a throw-in. Moritz Albrecht to attempt the throw-in for Nyack. This is Reed with it. He sends it toward the box, and that's deflected. And it will be another corner kick early on for Nyack.
7 minutes in here, Joe, and already on our third corner kick.
In our last match that we covered here on Sportsnet, as that one is sent toward the far post, and waiting for it were a pair of Dolphins and a pair of Warriors. This ball trickling toward the near sideline, attempting to turn and send it back toward the box there was Lugmeyer. He could not. So a dangerous corner for just a moment, but the Dolphins shielding off the Warriors from getting a shot nicely. As I was saying, Nick, you mentioned the early corner kick disparity. Corners were 8-0 in favor of Felician against women's soccer here on Wednesday, but that didn't stop the Dolphins from picking up the win.
Yeah, in that play, Joe, looked like the ball may have hit Noah Brill's hand, and some people were arguing for that, but referee said play on.
Hard to make everybody happy out there on the pitch, and it might be even harder to make us happy here at the commentary desk, especially our colleague Mike Babusky. We're unsure if Mike will be back on the air with us at some point this year. Of course, the door is always open, as this quickly turns into attacking play by the Warriors, and an aggressive challenge there by CSI. Momentarily won the ball back for the Dolphins, but Nyack takes possession again. The Dolphins have to knock that ball down as it's played toward the center of the box. And knocking it away and out of play was CSI.
He texted you.
We're attempting to get our audio situation fixed during the pregame. I was a bit loud. We took care of it during the break. Now we're a bit low as we tried to compensate for that earlier. And
Well, Joe, I mean, this is the first men's broadcast up here in the new soccer press booth. It's been over a year of anticipation, so working some kinks out here.
well, I will say you are a lot louder in my headset right now, Nick. So at the very least, our viewers will be able to hear you. Our engineer, Joe, will get on that.
That ball goes right in the stands there, bounces right back. You don't see that too often.
I mentioned it during our previous broadcast. The fence is just a bit higher around the perimeter of the pitch with the new upgrades to our facilities here at Dolphin Soccer Park, and that kept a lot more soccer balls in play than normal, as the ball runners didn't get much work on Wednesday. And they certainly won't complain today, as it's much warmer out. And right there, it was Mitchell Reed bearing down on goal, and that was a dangerous moment right there for the Dolphins, but nicely done by Omer Hamzusebi to get that ball out of there quickly. And now the Dolphins bearing down on goal, and Russell sends one out beyond midfield, and
Right off the tent there. Luckily, that thing didn't topple over.
2 years ago, we would have been positioned right underneath that tent, Nick, but I think we're both perfectly content right where we're seated in the press box, though I will say we could use an air conditioner up here at some point. Hopefully that becomes a reality.
I believe if our colleague Mike Babuski was here, he would agree.
I think he certainly would. Of course, we miss Mike up here in the booth, but as I said, the door always open for the great Mike Babuski as that one is sent toward the box by Nyack once again. They've spent a lot of time down around the Dolphins' penalty area, but so far no shots on goal for either side, and the Dolphins will throw in right here. There's a bicycle kick pass attempted by the Dolphins, and right now they have possession of it, but that lasts for just a few moments as that's sent out of play. We saw a bicycle kick goal the other day in the women's match. Emily Albano, off of a rebound, able to chip a bicycle kick in over the goalkeeper for the Dolphins' first goal of the season. And the women are in action today. Forgot to mention that during the pregame as well. So we'll check in with them every once in a while throughout our broadcast. And of course, he got a shout out during our previous broadcast, but the door is also always open for David Pizzuto as we eagerly await his return to Sportsnet. We know that's coming.
Yeah, and if I know Dave, and I know him well, I'm sure he's watching this broadcast right now, so we wish him well and hope he's having a good weekend.
No, I think now may not be the most ideal time, but I'll mention it anyway. I think Dave will soon be approved to adopt another pet, as I was contacted a couple of days ago, and needless to say, I had a rave review of Dave's rapport with his current dog, Toby, and I don't think he'll have any problem being approved for his second adoption. Great to hear that Dave's choosing to adopt another pet, so we look forward to having the introduction of another new canine on the air, as Toby was mentioned several times during baseball and softball season. Another loyal viewer of ours, of course.
Speaking of baseball, we will have some fall ball this year, Joe.
I was very excited to hear about that, as we'll have at least one broadcast, potentially two, for baseball and softball. I got an early look at the schedule, a tentative schedule, but of course I can't share that with you right now, as the Dolphins, with perhaps their best opportunity on the attack early in this game right there, unable to get a shot out of it, as both teams are still in search of the game's first shot opportunity. And Angulo sent it up in the air toward the far sideline, and is that really worth it, Nick, as Matteo Guarini.
Matteo goes right over Peterson there. Peterson only 5 foot, so some good hurdle skills there by Nyack.
You have to like the effort. I'm not sure it's prudent.
Peterson is holding his head here, so perhaps there was some contact there.
There was certainly some contact, and you would think it had to be to the head-neck region, as Guarini sent himself soaring into the air, trying to launch himself over Peterson as the Dolphins deflect that attempted clearance. Navarro might have an opportunity. He gives it up to Peterson, but that ball a bit too strong for Jamali. Good defensive play there by the Dolphins on the press, as the Dolphins nearly manufacturing an opportunity. Navarro sending that ball toward Peterson instead of trying to make a move into the box on his own. And not a bad idea, but the ball a bit too strong. As that one's headed by Angulo up toward the back line of Nyack and sent immediately over the midfield stripe. And now perhaps an opportunity on the counter for the Warriors. Here they come as they move toward the attacking third. Plaza has it. He tried to send one toward the far sideline, or I should say the near sideline. Pass intercepted nicely by the Dolphins, who look to counter on an attack of their own. First shot of the game attempted by CSI, and that one is saved. As I'm trying to get a look at who attempted that shot.
Joe, I do like the effort there. I think it was a smart move to go ahead and shoot that with the pass to the corners there, probably was not going to get a shot on net with the way Nyack was playing defense.
I will say I'm not familiar with all the new Dolphins faces yet, and those numbers on CSI's uniforms really blending in toward the back of those kits. As that's sent up in the air by CSI and toward the far sideline.
Peterson tripping over the ball there.
Nyack working it into the attacking third again, but CSI stifles that attacking play, and they move the ball toward the near sideline, but once again, that one is out of play. Warriors send one down toward the corner. Everyone on sides. They look to cross one into the box. Dolphins right there and ready for it. And CSI will clear beyond midfield, and Russell comes off his line, and the Warriors will move it along the back and back to their keeper once again. Nyack's been very patient early in this game, but when they've had opportunities, we've seen the midfielders and forwards move out on the attack very quickly, forcing CSI to scramble at times, but the Dolphins have been up to the task to this point. That one just over the head of Angulo, but he'll exert some pressure as Lugmeyer was waving some of his midfielders down to come and help get that ball out of a difficult spot. And he receives that help, as now moving forward toward that ball was Gazzoni, and Gazzoni is shouldered off the ball by Nicholas Kashenko. Another good defensive play by Kashenko, who intercepted that last crossing attempt. Dolphins with possession now as they move it toward the far sideline for Angulo. That one up to Peterson. Peterson spins around his marker, and if that ball had stayed in play, it might have been trouble, but it does roll over the touchline for a Warriors throw-in. Warriors will throw once again to their backs, and they will move east to west as we approach 27 minutes remaining in the first half. That one sent well beyond midfield toward the far sideline, but it's out of play. CSI will now throw in. Once again, this one played back toward goal by the Warriors, and they will take their time with it. And that ball right on target for Mitchell Reed, but the Dolphins able to get a body on it, knock it down, and will look to counter as Peterson is down, and he draws the whistle, but the foul goes against Jamali.
Peterson is not happy. That's about the third time that that's happened to him today.
Unfortunately, once the official has the conception that you may have flopped, you're not getting the benefit of the doubt, perhaps for the rest of the match. And clearly the official felt that way on that first foul call down around the box, as the Dolphins here exerting some pressure defensively. Warriors navigate through it well. Two markers now working against Plaza, and that was Lugmeyer who sent it across midfield, knocked down by Reed and passed forward by Fiuza, and once again, that is Nicholas Kashenko, who was there for the Dolphins in the back to make another nice interception and slow that attack down.
Joe, while we have a moment here, I wanted to point out that we have a really nice size fan base here today. Everyone came for the T-shirts. Welcome to Victory Boulevard, which we are both wearing today, and nice size crowd here to check out the first men's game with these new stands here.
Well, during the pregame, I had hoped to get on camera wearing these T-shirts and invite anyone who hadn't already come down to the CSI campus and Dolphin Soccer Park for this game. And unfortunately, our wired microphones, for whatever reason, were not cooperating with our mixer. We worked on it during the pregame, couldn't get it to work, but we do hope to at some point this season bring you a pregame from atop the press box. It's a great view from up there, and we have to give a shout out to our cameraman Sean Fitzpatrick as well, who is standing up there in the heat, operating our camera this afternoon. And of course, we thank Sean, who is typically our photographer, for taking the job that few want at times, but a job that is no less necessary because of it. So shout out to Sean, who will get one more before we're done here this afternoon.
Sean is doing a great job up there. He's always been a bit of a daredevil, so climbing up a ladder to stand on a roof and film a soccer game, no issue for him.
Could certainly attest to that.
Looks like we have an injury here, Joe, as Moritz Albrecht is grimacing in pain laying on the floor.
I don't believe we've gotten a stoppage yet as the clock continues to run, and there it is. So the clock will stop at 24:10.
Stop the clock, Anita.
It's all right, Joe. She's got it. Need to have some faith. If you do notice, my voice inflection changes a bit when the clock needs to be stopped, just for an extra boost next door in case they miss it. But Allison Ocasio takes the pitch for the first time today, and she's having a word with Albrecht right now. Let's try and get an update from the women's game if we can. I'm going to try and pull it up on my phone while we have a break in the action.
I think we lost Joe.
Oh, that game was an early game.
Joe, while you pull that up, it's a great view here in the stands. If you get here early, you get to see the motorcycle classes going on in the parking lot. Currently, that wrapped up for the day. Usually that makes parking an issue, but from up here in these stands, you can really see the whole field. The big difference for us, especially broadcasting, up higher elevated as compared to where we used to be down in the field.
This is certainly a better view. My only complaint is being able to see into the corners, but beggars can't be choosers, and we were certainly begging from the sideline for this press box to be completed. We knew it was on the way, and it has not disappointed, to put it mildly. As that was an early game, Joe, for the Dolphins, and they actually wrapped up during our pregame. I don't see the score unless you have it, and 5-0 is the final for women's soccer. So coming off of a victory in their home opener on Wednesday, women's soccer falls to 1-3 this afternoon. As it looks like we might be getting set to resume here at the College of Staten Island. Albrecht making it off the field on his own power. That's good to see. And
looks like we're going to have some subs here for the Dolphins. I see Shane Siegel getting ready to potentially come in the game.
I think you're right about that, Nick. One more Dolphin standing alongside Siegel, and once he stands upright, we'll have the number. And Joe just couldn't wait. Joe just couldn't wait, as I think you are right, Joe. That
I might as well get Joe a headset in here.
I know. He is seated in the perfect position. There's really no reason for him not to be wearing one. We certainly wouldn't have audio level problems if Joe was wearing a headset. At the very least, we could mute him, and he could ensure that our audio is correct. And it's a bloody nose.
Wow.
For Albrecht.
And it looks like Daniel Ingoldsby is going to come into the game for Albrecht.
So Ingoldsby coming on, and Albrecht, with what appears to be a bloody nose, came off. I'm not sure if that was the result of contact or if a nosebleed just ensued, but also Joe was wrong, as it was Larry Diggs standing along the sideline. Joe trying to jump the gun and get in on the broadcast, and that leads to an error. So Larry Diggs enters, and the Dolphins will throw in right here with 23:50 to play in the first half.
And here comes Diggs and Siegel. Peterson, we see, is coming out.
And Navarro as well. So Navarro and Peterson out. Siegel and Diggs in with 23:30 to go in half number one.
Entering for the Dolphins, number 10, Shane Siegel, and number 15, Larry Diggs.
Warriors possessing it shortly following the Dolphins throw-in as they work just beyond midfield and now down toward the corner. This is Gazzoni. Once again, it is Kashenko who wins possession for the Dolphins, and he sends one up the far sideline before the whistle blows, and it looks like we'll be headed back the other way. Looks like some early run for Larry Diggs along the far sideline. Throw in for the Warriors, and Dolphins swarm. Kashenko heads it out toward midfield, but it's headed back the other way by Plaza. Reed sends one over to Lugmeyer, and now Lugmeyer, to pull up the roster here, finds Ingoldsby. And Angulo with a nice tackle to dispossess Ingoldsby for a moment, but the Warriors win the throw in, and now Lugmeyer crosses one in front, sent on goal and saved. What a job there by Omer Hamzazebi. What a play as the Warriors with a great cross in front, but Hamzazebi up to the task.
What a job there by Hamzazebi to stick with that. A lot of players in front of him, so he's being screened, gets a hand on it, knocks it away. No goal.
Nearly another chance for the Warriors, but Hamzazebi is there. That is easily the best opportunity for either side in this game.
Hamzazebi coming off, I believe, a 7-save performance in CSI's opener.
Didn't catch who got a foot on that. I think it was Mitchell Reed for the Warriors who redirected that ball in front on goal. Great cross, set him up. Lugmeyer with the attempted cross. And he connected with his man, but Omer Hamzazebi just a bit better on that attacking play. Now the Dolphins look to move toward midfield, and that ball for Diggs too wide and over the far sideline.
Hamzazebi using all of his 6'3" frame there to make that save, and it definitely pays to be taller when you are the goalie.
He needed every inch of that frame right there. We approach 20 minutes to play in the first half. Dolphins still looking for their true first scoring chance. They had a long shot that was on goal, but it may have even ended up just a bit wide had it not been saved, but certainly a shot on goal nonetheless. The Dolphins definitely haven't had a chance like that last Warriors opportunity. And the Warriors continue to keep the pressure on here as they'll have a throw-in right around the corner where it looks like the flag is dislodged and down. They'll have to get that fixed, unless they just choose to ignore it. And it looks like they'll choose to ignore it for now as Nyack throws in. That's Borgali working against a pair of Dolphins as we have a vocal fan seated beneath us. That might have come over Nick's mic.
The fans are certainly getting into this one, Joe. I don't know if maybe it's because they're wearing black T-shirts and they're getting hot and anxious here, or they just want to see some goals.
We had 3 goals on Wednesday, and right now, if you're a fan of higher scoring games, you might be a bit disappointed early on, but if you're a fan of a defensive affair, you have to like what you've seen from both teams early in this game, and we're not so early in the first half anymore as we're inside of 20 minutes to play. Whistle blows with the action just beyond midfield. Free kick for Nyack, and they will take it quickly. Work it along the back as this is Lugmeyer with it. Gives it up to Bendel. Bendel sends it toward the far sideline. That was Brill, and now Reed working against a pair of Dolphins. Plaza challenged by 2 CSI defenders, and he draws the foul. And they took that free kick too quickly for the officials' taste, I believe, and send him back.
Yeah, the Warriors there trying to get every advantage they can, kicking that one way too fast, and luckily for the Dolphins, the referee calls back.
That will give CSI the chance to form what looks like it is going to be a 4-man wall. Perhaps 5, we'll see, as the official is moving them back toward the top of the box to give the Warriors some space. Right now, 2 players lined up over the ball for Nyack. Those are Guarini and Reed. Looks like Reed is giving way. Make that Plaza, who fires a shot, and it is saved into the net by Hamza Zebi. He got both hands on it, but he redirects it right into the back corner of goal, and we have our first goal up on the scoreboard. The Warriors lead the Dolphins 1-0.
Tough break there from Hamza Zebi. Gets 2 hands on it, but just too powerful on the shot. Goes right through his hands into the net.
And we have seen some very high-quality free kicks in our first 2 broadcasts here on Sportsnet this year. In our last match, we saw 2 free kicks hit the crossbar, one of those rebounding off of the crossbar and turning into the golden goal. And then we had another free kick, that one taken by Felician, which found the back of the net. So free kicks have directly led to 3 goals so far in our 2 broadcasts. And CSI still hoping for a free kick opportunity in a scoring position of their own early in this game. They've also conceded 3 corner kicks, have attempted none, as now the Dolphins have a chance on the counter, and the fans are starting to make some noise.
Fans are really getting into this one.
This is Diggs working against Bendel. Bendel standing his ground, and Diggs was forced to give it up to Angulo. Nick trying to pick up some of those chants from just outside the window on his headset, but we're getting a whole lot of rumbling, Nick.
The gist of it is, come on, CSI, let's go. Let's get a goal, CSI.
I think that sums it up pretty well, and I'm not sure that our listeners needed you to, because the spectators are seated fairly close to us, about maybe 5 feet below where we are perched in the press box. And I just mentioned the corner kick disparity. The Dolphins still looking for their first corner. They found it. And I believe that was Brandon Figueroa who attempted the corner. But the ball now moving back toward midfield with Nyack in possession. And we have a collision just beyond the midfield stripe. Foul called against the Dolphins. Another free kick for Nyack upcoming. This one sent across the midfield stripe for Lugmeyer. This is in Goldsby. And Goldsby was looking for Fiuza. And now is double teamed after receiving that ball back. And it'll be a throw-in for Nyack. A good throw in there. That's a dangerous position for Noah Brill. But
oh, right off a car, Joe. Luckily the window's not shattered there.
I will say, Nick, that is not a safe spot to park, because we have seen soccer balls travel there on wide shots that have been taken from well outside the box. And I actually had one of my first duties as assistant SID being combing through some game film to find where we had a shattered window. One of my first days in the office, Coach Tardy came in and had me find some video footage of that, as that one's headed on goal and saved by Hamza Zebi. The rebound also saved by the Dolphins keeper, and that shot is wide. May have been blocked, and the official will say no. Goal kick, so that developed quickly off of the corner.
And I think we might get a replay on that one, but Hamza Zebi is doing all he can right now to hold the Dolphins in this game. He's getting his hands or feet on every single shot coming his way. Just some bad luck that the other one went through his hands and into the goal.
Tough luck goal allowed, no doubt about it, for Hamza Zebi on the first Warriors goal, but that's not to take away from what was a great free kick. That was taken by Javier Plaza. There's a laser beam out to the midfield stripe from goal, and that springs Nyack right back onto the attack. Good ball through. This one for Reed. Has 2 Dolphins chasing him from behind. Hamza Zebi got a piece. And that will be another Warriors corner kick. And Hamza Zebi has been up to the task in this first half. He has been under a lot of pressure these last few minutes.
Hamza Zebi, the aggressor there, coming out, knocking that one away. And we're going to have yet another corner kick here for Nyack. It seems like there's no interest in picking that flag up, Joe.
No, none at all. As that one is headed, it looked like Reed got a piece. The clock is stopped at 13:56, and are we about to have a card issued along the Dolphin sideline? Well, the official is certainly having a word with assistant coach Alex Cuba. And that might give Hamza Zebi a break and goal, as he certainly needs it. Dolphins will also get a break defensively. So associate head coach Cuba and the official having a word with one another, and both sides appear satisfied as play is set to resume with a corner kick for the Warriors. That one sent toward the near post and off the outside of the frame. Hamza Zebi has it, and he has to get rid of it, and that is some shot by the Dolphins goalkeeper. Sent that one into orbit out of play, eliciting a cheer from the crowd.
That ball went into right center field of the recreational softball field, right behind the soccer field.
Well, Nick, there is not much left of those recreational softball fields, more like grass wastelands.
You can make the argument there wasn't much to begin with there other than a fence.
I think that's a fair assessment, Nick, as I did not envy your Saturday morning softball games that had to be played there, as once again, the Warriors working down in the corner. They now have a chance as that one's crossed in front, headed by Reed. And did he get a head on it? Yes, he did, and he redirected it wide. And Ingoldsby might have had a chance to get a foot on it for a moment, but that ball redirected just a bit too far in front of him. Warriors working with the ball. And the Dolphins quickly take possession on a Nyack turnover, but they are going to give it right back.
Yeah, Joe, not much this half here for the Dolphins as far as time of possession. Nyack has controlled the ball for the majority of the game, and Dolphins only have had really 2, maybe 3 legitimate chances to get the ball to the net.
That one travels out of play along the near sideline. That will lead to another Warriors throw-in. Nyack will throw toward the midfield stripe. 2 Dolphins challenging Reed. They dispossess him. That's Diggs redirecting that ball. And Rofail had it for just a moment. He draws the whistle, and the Dolphins now will have a free kick in a good spot.
Yeah, he was dragged down by the numbers on his shirt there, so clearly a foul. And we'll see if the Dolphins can capitalize here on this good field possession.
Angulo having a word with the official, and a pair of Warriors in on the conversation as well. Those Lucas Fiuza and Javier Plaza. Angulo declining to attempt the shot. Instead gives it up for Figueroa, whose left-footed shot skipped in front of Rosal. It was saved, and that could have been a dangerous rebound had he not corralled it. That one headed forward by Plaza, Reed giving chase, but Kushenko able to keep him off the ball. Turnover by the Dolphins. That was Borgali who forced it. That shot taken, and it skips into the arms of Hamza Zebi. Very quickly, play shifting from Warriors on the attack to Dolphins, or I should say from Dolphins on the attack to Warriors on the attack. One end of the pitch to the other. That's headed up in the air by Lugmeyer, and his team will keep possession beyond midfield. Attempted through ball. The intended target there appearing to be Albrecht. Check that. Looks like that was number 29. My mistake. As the Dolphins had it for a moment. Warriors get it back, and the whistle blows. And that is Albrecht back in the game, so I was correct.
Good to see him back on his feet. Oh, we got some shoving here. and nothing called for that. That was pretty crazy, Joe.
Well, I was not correct. That was Alex Gazzoni. So hard to read the numbers on the front of the Nyack uniforms. Very clear numbers on the back. So that was 28, not 20. So that was Gazzoni up there. He was the intended recipient on that pass. Plaza lined up over the ball to attempt the free kick again, and Rofale gets a foot on it immediately for CSI, and Gulo clears and sends it toward the midfield stripe. Waiting for it there was Fiuza, and he sends one all the way back toward the top of the box. That one headed up in the air, off the back line by the Dolphins. That was Nilton Gonzalez. That one crossed in for Reed, and just a bit too far in front of him. Another one sent into the box and headed away by the Dolphins once again. Kishenko gets rid of it. And the Warriors giving chase now toward the near sideline and can't come up with it. Throw in for the Dolphins. This is Cotticelli to throw in for CSI. Siegel the closest Dolphin right now, and Cotticelli surveying, looking for somewhere to go with it. Throws one towards Siegel, and it winds up with Gazzoni. Gazzoni keeps it in play and then fires one off of Cotticelli, conceding the corner once again on the Dolphins, and a good play there. A heads-up play by Gazzoni to force CSI into surrendering another corner kick. Gazzoni's corner sent deep into the box. That one's chipped up in the air and over goal by Erwin Bendel. And Bendel couldn't believe it as he threw his hands up onto his head in frustration as he had an attempt from point-blank range, and we have a Dolphin substitution.
And you'll never guess who's coming in, Joe. Brendan McGuire.
So a bit later than our engineer anticipated, but as Joe just said, B-Mags comes onto the field, and when we had our media day, they had the name B-Mags on the sheet with the entire roster handwritten, and I was trying to figure out what that name was because obviously I was looking for a last name, and you had to clarify for me, Joe, so I appreciated that. And Brendan finally makes his way out onto the pitch a bit later than perhaps we anticipated earlier. He's situated near the top of your screen as that ball is through for Gazzoni. He shouldered off it by Cotticelli, and following it up was Mitchell Reed, but once again, Hamza Zebi is there. What a play there by the Warriors to come up with a shot after Cotticelli made the play defensively to take Gazzoni off of the ball, but Reed was right there to follow the play, and Hamza Zebi makes the save.
Hamza Zebi has been great so far, keeping the Dolphins in this game. This game could have easily gotten out of hand by now, but he's doing a great job keeping the ball out of the goal.
This one is sent toward the box, redirected in, and the whistle blows. No, it looks like we have a whistle upcoming, and the clock is stopped. So the Warriors initially celebrated. The whistle blew. I'm still not sure if it's an offsides or a foul call. No clarification coming up here, but you have to think in that situation with how quickly that developed, offsides was the call. I didn't see any contact that would indicate a foul. It is a goal. Well, initially the Dolphins protested. The Warriors celebrated, and I thought it was a goal. And goal is the call, so I apologize for that. As initially I was a bit confused as the celebration dispersed for the Warriors, but the goal does stand, and you had to think that with all of the high-quality attempts for Nyack down deep in the penalty area and in the box over the last 5 or 10 minutes that the Dolphins would eventually break, and there's a foul call just beyond midfield.
And it was Mitchell Reed, Joe, who put that one in the back of the net.
So the Warriors captain finding the back of the net for his team and giving them a 2-goal lead. For Reed, that is his first goal of the season. And for Javier Plaza on the free kick earlier, he picked up his first goal of the season. Nyack came in 0-3, dropping their first game against Franklin Pierce 4-0, falling to St. Anselm, or I should say Anselm, my mistake, 3-0 in game 2, and then losing a close one to Stonehill in their third match, 3-2. They dropped to 0-3 on the season. As Rofail's ball, a bit too long. That was McGuire giving chase. Long throw in taken by Nyack, and this is Reed looking to get past Kshenko, but Nicholas was having none of it. Throwing up coming for Nyack.
Come on, CSI, let's go! Come on now! Come on, CSI!
Redirected with the head by Reed, and Warriors were dispossessed for a moment as Fiuza had it on his foot. Right now, this is Borgali. Now Angulo to Siegel. Siegel challenged by Ingoldsby and is fouled. And Nick.
That's a flop, Joe.
Nick.
That is a flop.
The clock has stopped, Nick.
Alex Gazzoni there, making believe he got hit in the ankle, and he's rolling around there like a pig in mud. And Allison's out there to check on him, but I'm sure he's going to be able to hop this one off.
You know, Nick, I hate to accuse someone of flopping or faking an injury, but that was so dramatic for so little contact. I find it hard to believe, and I sympathize with anyone who sprains their ankle. I've had many ankle sprains over the years, but yeah, the yellow card is issued. The official wasn't having it, and I mean, that's as egregious looking of a flop as I've ever seen, assuming it was one.
And he's running off the field now.
Again, you know, I don't want to be accusatory, but that certainly appeared to be a flop. There's no way around it. And based upon the reaction of Gazzoni along the sideline and how he was able to make his way off the field.
Well, it worked for him because they got the yellow card. And now he's back in the game.
I think he was issued the yellow card.
He was not.
Nick.
He was not.
He wasn't.
He was not.
Well, then it worked.
Angulo was issued the yellow card.
Credit to him then. He drew the foul and elicited a card. So it works out for him.
It's a miracle. He's running, no issues.
Let's see here. He is working along that Dolphins back line. He appeared poised to make a run, but not yet. And it looks like we will have a substitution for CSI.
Oh, say that name, it's Nerman.
That's Nerman Bolja-Basic entering the game.
Number 28, Nerman Bolja-Basic.
And Brandon Figueroa coming out.
Number 13, Brandon Figueroa.
1:45 to play in the first half. Dolphins trail by a pair, 2-0. Sounds like we got a response from the stands, so clearly we're projecting through the bleachers as the Dolphins fans assembled are looking for a first goal. They might get it here as Rofail with the left-footed shot sends it wide.
Well, Joe, I think it was important here at the end of the half to at least get the fans a little excited here. Pretty quiet other than the one gentleman in front of us after the second goal, but definitely some excitement here as we go to a minute left in the game, in the first half of the game.
And that was nearly very dangerous as
In the first half, 1 minute.
I think that was Diggs bearing down on goal, nearly intercepted that ball, and the Dolphins looking to get out on the attack. They move into the attacking third. That ball for Angulo crosses him up, and the Warriors might be able to run down the majority of what's left in this first half right here. Rosa will pick that ball up and almost assuredly take his time with it.
30 seconds left here.
That one's sent out toward midfield and chipped up in the air. Warriors appear content, but they'll send one up toward Plaza and Reed. Sent back the other way by Cotticelli.
8, 7, 6, 5,
And this one will
3, 2,
end in the attacking third for the Warriors, but time runs out on them as they will take a 2-0 lead into halftime. The College of Staten Island men's soccer team trailing by a pair in their home opener. So when Nick and I come back, we'll have some first half stats, analysis of the first half, and a preview of half number 2 here on CSI Sportsnet. Exclusive NCAA Division II men's soccer coverage on the ECC network comes back after this break.
Wayne State Medical School has been my dream medical school since I was 5. Athletics are important, but so is service. So is research, so is becoming a better person, and we expect you to do well athletically, but don't forget the reason you're here, which is to give back to your community and to get good grades. It was my sophomore indoor season. It was the first year with our new head coach, and he comes in and he's like, we could be a national contending team if you guys work hard. And I heard him and I was like, well, I want to be a national champion. I want to be an All-American. And I bought in because he bought into our team. And I qualified to go to indoor nationals. I decided I wanted it, so I went and grabbed it.
And welcome back to CSI Sportsnet coverage of NCAA Division II men's soccer on the ECC network. The College of Staten Island trailing Nyack College by a score of 2-0 at the half. And Nick, that first half, especially the latter portion of half number 1, was really dominated on the attack by the Warriors.
Yeah, no doubt about it there. Time of possession was definitely tipped in Nyack's favor, big time. Every time CSI had the ball, they barely got many opportunities. Only 3 shots on goal. The big telling thing here is Nyack College 8 corners to CSI's 1, and also fouls by the period. Although maybe one is questionable at the end. Staten Island has 8 fouls and Nyack College only 5 fouls.
So for the Dolphins in half number 1, a bit of a disappointing showing in their 2021 home opener in front of a crowd here at the College of Staten Island for the first time since the fall of 2019. As I mentioned during the pregame, that last match played here at the College of Staten Island for the CSI men was against CCNY. And of course, the Dolphins now in a new conference, the East Coast Conference, and the ECC Network hosting today's broadcast, our debut men's soccer broadcast here from the new press box at Dolphin Soccer Park on the ECC Network. And if you take a look on your screen, you see the entire Dolphins team assembled to the right of midfield, surrounding head coach John Tardy, perhaps giving a bit of a pep talk ahead of the start of the second half. And based upon the end of that first half, the Dolphins did show some signs of life heading into half number 2, had some late opportunities at the end of half number 1, but as I said before, it was all Warriors on the attack. Nick mentioned the disparity in time of possession, in shots, and in corners, and much like we saw in the women's game on Wednesday, the majority of the corners have belonged to Nyack. As I mentioned during the first half, all of the corners on Wednesday belonged to the opposition, as Felician had 8 corner kicks to CSI 0. The Dolphins today, the men, faced an 8-1 corner kick deficit, 6 shots on goal to 2, as Nick mentioned, 10-3 in shots overall. Nick, what can the Dolphins do to turn this game around?
Listen, I need to stop relying on Hamza Sebi here because he's really, this game could have been way out of hand here. He does have 4 saves, 2 goals allowed, one of them just unlucky off his hands here. But what CSI needs to do here is they need to come out as the aggressor. They need to attack, and when they get close, they need to shoot. They got to get shots on goal here. They have to test the goalkeeper for Nyack, and just hope that in the first 10 to 15 minutes here, they could put up put a ball in the back of the net and get back into this one.
Well, I spoke about it ahead of the women's game on Wednesday, how the women's soccer team had allowed a lot of early goals in games, but in this one it took Nyack a bit of time to break through before they finally scored in the 28th minute. They then struck again in the 40th minute. So for the Dolphins, a couple of late first half goals, or at least goals that occurred beyond the midway point of half number one, but for the Dolphins, they need to come out in the second half, as you said, Nick, and get some more high-quality opportunities. Their 2 shots on goal came from fairly far out and weren't really threatening opportunities, and you said it as well. They need to put Rosal to the test in between the pipes and see what he's got, as we've seen plenty from Hamza Zebi so far, and the score doesn't take away from his performance in goal during the first half. He was fantastic.
Absolutely, and they're sticking with the fresh legs out there. Brendan McGuire staying there at the forward position for the Dolphins. See if he can utilize his speed and get a shot on goal here.
Looks like Siegel, McGuire, Rofale, and I'm trying to get a number on that last Dolphin who makes up the rest of that CSI forward group, and that's number 9, Samuel Gonzaga, who, if I'm not mistaken, is out there for the first time, and he redirects that ball out of play for Warriors throw-in. Long throw in there. Travels just beyond midfield, winds up back with Nyack, and it's sent all the way across the pitch to the far sideline, off the head of Ingoldsby and out of play. That one chipped up in the air and headed back down toward the corner. Lugmeyer was giving chase. He was flanked by Rofale, and
if you notice, Joe, that corner flag still down since 10 minutes into the first half.
I have to assume the base in the pitch has come dislodged. Otherwise, that would have been fixed by now. As this is Lugmeyer again. Did a good job shielding Rofale off the ball moments ago to win the goal kick. As right there, Gazzoni went down hard, a lot of contact, no whistle. That gives the Dolphins a chance on the attack, and a great move there by Rofale. But he is dispossessed, and I believe he actually lost possession of it himself after being challenged. He made a great move to find some open space, but then lost it.
And great job there by our cameraman, Sean, who zoomed in and got all of that. He's doing a great job. Went up to visit him at halftime, climbed the ladder. He's up there. He's doing a great job.
There's a big turnover by the Warriors. That one sent in front by Gonzaga. Redirected on goal and stifled by Rosal. What a job there by the Warriors goalkeeper, facing his first big test of the afternoon.
And like we said, Joe, I said they got to use McGuire's speed. He gets there in the box. And a tremendous save there to stop McGuire.
Well, I think that's Diggs. McGuire right now, I believe, on the bench, if I'm not mistaken. That was Diggs who got a foot on it in front. But again, the number's so hard to read. 15 and 18 on the back of that uniform looks so similar from up here.
A little bit of pink wouldn't hurt too much.
It's funny you mentioned that, Nick, is for those who missed it, in the spring we had a baseball broadcast where there was a bit more pink than normal in CSI's uniforms, and it was not our annual Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night. The Dolphins wore that pink in honor of Mother's Day, and it made for quite the memorable uniform combination. As that throw-in is awarded to CSI. They will throw in along the far sideline, and looks like we're headed back the other way, as the official did initially point in the direction of the Dolphins, but
we have a Nyack player, looks a little banged up, but he's going to get up and walk back. Looks like he's okay.
That was Lugmeyer who went down. Perhaps the throw-in was overruled by a foul call, as that's Ingoldsby. Works past a pair of Dolphins, but is met by a third, and it looked like he just shoved him down from behind, and the call is corner kick. Or is it goal kick? Looks like the Warriors are making their way down into position for a corner. And that is indeed the call.
First corner kick of the half here for Nyack.
Corner kick disparity now 9-1 in favor of the Warriors, and we've seen some great chances for Nyack coming off of these corners. Reed tried to head it. Nasty collision there. As the Dolphins are able to clear it. This is Gonzaga giving chase. He's being shouldered off of the ball by Guarini. Nyack sending it back toward goal, and Rosso punts one well beyond midfield, but a good header attempt there by Angulo. He then made a run along the near sideline. That was Bulja Basic, who sent it toward the far sideline. Campos redirected. Now Figueroa working on it. He sends it back to his keeper, Hamza Sebi. Does a nice job to get that ball out of a dangerous position, but it's turned over quickly by Angulo, who never really received that pass, and that crossing attempt is blocked by Kishenko. Another corner kick upcoming for Nyack. That makes double-digit corner kicks now for the Warriors. Corner kick number 10 to be attempted by number 10. That's Javier Plaza. Plaza already has a goal in this game off of a free kick. Warriors sending it toward the far sideline, and Luke Meyer knew that he would not be able to chase that ball down. Campos the thrower once again. That one was up toward Diggs. That redirected by Plaza. And nearly getting a foot on it, and he did. That was Noah Brill, who was able to emerge from the pack, split a pair of Dolphins, and got a foot on that redirect. That will go down as a shot on goal, as the Dolphins emphatically rejecting that attempted clearance, but Diggs might be a bit shaken up. He took that one from point-blank range, nearly created a scoring chance, but unfortunately for him, he was just too close to that ball, and it rebounded down toward the corner where the Warriors were able to clear it. It looked as if the Dolphins had been awarded a throw-in off the clearance. Instead, it's Nyack throwing along the far sideline. That's Lugmeyer. Bendel with it now, sends it toward the near sideline. Borgali up to Brill. Brill sending it back to Bendel, and again to his keeper, as that is sent a long way across the midfield stripe. The Dolphins come away with it for just a moment, but off the header by Bulja Basic, the Warriors have it back. Bendel up the pitch to Ingoldsby. Campos wins possession back for CSI, but Rofel can't keep it in play. .37:30 to go in the second half. 2-0 in favor of Nyack in this Bayonne Bridge Cup. There is a trophy to be awarded after this game to the winner, as that is sent toward goal, but Hamza Zebi with one of his more routine plays of the day. He sends this one long toward the back line of Nyack, and it rolls off the head of Bendel, who is shoved down. He might have embellished just a bit, but there was definitely a shove there by Diggs. Ball now across midfield, intercepted by Angulo. Angulo weaving his way through some traffic, looking for Diggs, but he couldn't find him, as that was intercepted by Bendel. Plaza back to Guarini and up to Borgali. That was Fiuza, and it's sent away by Bendel toward the back line of the Dolphins. Reed knocks it down, looking for Brill, but Hamza Zebi clears. He sends that a long way. It's off the head of Lugmeyer and over the fence.
Dolphins doing a good job here in this half of being the aggressor. They're not sitting back as much as they did in the first. obviously they need to be in attack mode here, trailing by 2 goals.
If they can make this a 1-goal game, we've seen it before. Anything can happen down the stretch if you're within 1, but right now the clock is ticking on CSI, trailing by a pair. As we have another whistle and a foul call. The fans don't like it. That was Reed who went down. Free kick taken by Luke Meyer, sent across the pitch to Guarini. That's Brill. Plaza was looking for Borgali, and that's a turnover. Here comes Diggs. Diggs doesn't have much help with him, and it looked like he might have rolled the ankle. Hate to see that on an attacking opportunity. Hate to see an injury at any point, but that was a very inopportune time for the ankle to give way, and that will immediately bring a couple of Dolphins up off the bench. Looks like Angulo and Peterson heading to midfield to check in as Diggs remains down. Allison Ocasio will check on Larry Diggs, who is to his feet. He will head over to the Dolphins bench. Jamali Peterson coming on to replace him. Daniel Angulo still waits at midfield for his chance to check in.
For the Dolphins, number 25, Jamali Peterson. He replaces number 15, Larry Diggs.
Goal kick upcoming when play resumes with 35:06 to go in the second half. That goal kick sent a long way and headed forward. This could be trouble, but Kashenko is there for the Dolphins. And that's sent over the touchline along the near sideline, and CSI will throw in. Angulo, the thrower, going toward Peterson. It's headed up in the air by Bendel and over the near sideline once again. CSI substitution, Angulo for Buljabasic. That's Angulo. And his attempted pass knocked down by Brill. Angulo to throw once again toward Peterson, and he draws the foul.
Peterson there going up against the much taller Matteo Guarini. Comes away with drawing the foul.
Guarini certainly did not agree with the whistle, but as it stands, Dolphins setting up for a free kick. Figueroa positioned over the ball on his own. His team along the corner of the box, far sideline, as that is sent toward the far post, headed toward goal, redirected in by Shane Siegel, and the Dolphins have cut the lead in half. It's 2-1. CSI executing off the set piece. That ball redirected in front for Shane Siegel, and he sends it into the back of the net for CSI's first goal of the season. They are right back in it. Our score 2-1. There will be a pair of assists on that goal. One to Figueroa and the second to the Dolphin who redirected that ball. I couldn't catch who it was. There was a lot of traffic along that far post, but it winds up on the head of Shane Siegel, who tucks it inside of the far post and cuts the Nyack lead in half.
Dolphins doing exactly what they need to do here to start the second half, coming out as the aggressor, attacking, and they put the ball in the back of the net, cut the lead here. Plenty of time left in this one, and the crowd, as you may have heard, has come alive once again.
Well, Nick, you mentioned it ahead of the start of the second half. The Dolphins needed to be on the attack early and often, exerting some pressure in the opening minutes of this half. They do just that and get an early goal. They'll look to deny Nyack the answer right here, as Hamza Zebi will look to spring his team on the attack quickly. Once we have the official assists on that last goal, we'll pass them along to you. Certainly one belongs to Figueroa. The goal was scored by Siegel, but we'll have to see who gets the primary assist, as Figueroa will get the secondary assist on the cross.
Shane got the goal, right? Score it on the Shane. We'll go back with the assist.
Here comes Peterson. Peterson being chased from behind. He goes down and draws the whistle.
Shane, Siegel, got the goal. Numbers.
I don't know, Joe. Peterson has been on the floor quite a bit this game. It did work previously on the last possession, which ended up leading to the goal, but seems like the ref here is not very happy and keeps calling against him.
We'll get a look at the replay. As I was conversing with our statistician, Sal Caruso.
Replay right here.
Last goal. And I'm not sure if you can catch who picked up the assist. Great camera work by Sean getting a zoomed-in look at that last Dolphins goal, but it's going to be tough to discern who gets the primary assist on that goal through all that traffic. So that might be a stat call we make after the game. Another free kick opportunity for Brandon Figueroa and the Dolphins, this time from straight away. Figueroa's free kick blocked by the wall. Waiting for it at midfield was Angulo, but this might be a counterattack for the Warriors, and it is emphatically denied on the sliding tackle by Figueroa. Nicely done there by Brandon, but Mitchell Reed able to recover the ball and sends it up to Gazzoni. Gazzoni goes down in the box. He wanted a foul call, will not get it. Goal kick. And a whistle and stoppage for an injury. Can't see who it is who went down for the Dolphins, but the trainer is heading back out onto the pitch. It's been a busy day for Allison, our trainer. She's been out there now 3 or 4 times already. Still can't get a look at who it is that's down.
Well, we do know it's a defenseman.
That would make sense on the back line, but outside of that,
We could play process of elimination, but as we mentioned earlier, very tough to see the numbers from up here in the booth.
I hate playing the guessing game from the booth because most of the time you'll look foolish. It's just so hard to tell from this distance. We wouldn't even be able to tell from midfield.
If I had to guess, it would be Nilton Gonzalez.
I do believe he was out on the pitch to open the second half, so that would make sense. Dennis Cotticelli will be coming in, and of course, as you said, Nick, we presume it's a defenseman. That would be correct, with the defenseman coming in as the replacement. So I would think that it is Nilton Gonzalez, as we use teamwork up here in the booth to figure out who it is that's down. And looks like another ankle. Nilton doesn't appear as if he'll be able to walk off quickly or under his own power. You hate to see that.
I have to get the golf cart down there.
Well, that's very unfortunate news passed to us by Joe Masha. That soccer ball that hit a windshield, Nick, it did crack the windshield, and that windshield belonged to Kelsey Carey, who works.
Staff member should have known better, but very sad to hear.
Of course, Kelsey, an assistant women's basketball coach, and works in marketing and promotions alongside Mike Morrow. And we hate to hear that. We hate to see any windshield cracked, but especially one belonging to one of our staff members. As when that ball hit the windshield, I was with you, Nick. I did not think that we would have a cracked windshield issue from the distance from which that ball was struck, but you get enough air under it, and those can be the results.
Yeah, and I thought that one went off the hood of the car and then kind of deflected off the glass, but apparently it was a head-on collision there.
Action resumes, 30-50 remaining in half number 2. Dolphins have cut the Warriors' lead in half and may look to get even here. As that one sent through to Peterson, a great ball. Here comes Peterson. He plays it toward the middle of the box, and a great job there defensively by Erwin Bendel to deny the Dolphins a chance.
Peterson just not in a good position there to get a shot off, so he did the smart thing to play it to the center, but great job defensively there by Nyack. Big corner kick coming up here for the Dolphins, and the crowd is really, really getting into it with the Let's Go Dolphins chant.
This is as vocal as the fans have been all day, overpowering the voices of Nick and I here in the booth. Corner kick attempted by the Dolphins, cleared on the header by Nyack, sent forward, and waiting up there all alone is Gazzoni, but he is chased down from behind by Siegel. Plaza now chasing after that ball into the corner, and it will be a Dolphins goal kick. I believe the intended target on that pass from Peterson was Samuel Gonzaga in the middle for the Dolphins. CSI had their attack set up just about as well as we've seen all afternoon long on that last run by Peterson and Gonzaga. A great ball to set up Peterson. That shouldn't be lost, as once again going over the back of Peterson is Guarini, but the Dolphins now may have a chance as Rofal was being challenged by Lugmeyer. He's dispossessed, but the Dolphins will throw in, and Lugmeyer is hot. He thinks there should have been a whistle there, doesn't get it. Dolphins quickly throw in. Rofal being challenged by Ingoldsby. A good ball toward the middle of the box, but that bicycle kick attempt by Gonzaga is well wide, and that ball initially was sent toward Peterson, who didn't have enough height to get ahead on it.
Peterson, Nyack's playing leapfrog with him today. The second time today, a few moments ago, that a Nyack player jumped over him.
Peterson chasing after that ball from the ball runner, retrieving it, running it back onto the pitch, and then handing it to Nyack for their goal kick. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, I don't know, but definitely good sportsmanship there by Peterson.
Well, Peterson is a forward, so he didn't have anywhere to be on defense at the moment. And a whistle is blown just beyond midfield. Dolphins now called for a foul. Free kick for the Warriors as the clock ticks down towards 28 minutes to play in the second half. Free kick taken toward goal, and that was almost disastrous as Kishenko couldn't believe what happened. He redirected that ball up into the air, and then Hamza Zebi let it go. It hit the post.
Right off the post there.
One Warrior and one Dolphin were flanking Hamza Zebi. Neither expected that ball to come down where it did, and that was almost disastrous for CSI. As that sent toward the middle of the box, headed away by Siegel. Shot redirected by Plaza, attempted initially by Fiuza, and the Dolphins will have a goal kick. Hamza Zebi sends one out toward midfield. Peterson waiting alongside Bendel, and Bendel sends that one back across the midfield stripe in the other direction, but it's headed by Angulo. Rofal runs out of space. Working along the far sideline are the Warriors. And they will throw in. Nyack sends the ball across midfield, and they were looking to attack for a moment, but the Dolphins once again up to the task defensively. They've done a good job slowing this Warriors attack that was very prolific in the latter portion of the first half. This is Cotticelli. And his pass is deflected out of play. Once again, CSI will throw in. Cotticelli looking for somewhere to throw. And he throws toward Angulo. And that one is sent into the stands, and
what a catch by Mr. Tibbs over there on the sidelines.
Director of Athletics making the grab off of the deflection from the front row of the bleachers. Cotticelli working toward the corner, and That was an emphatic clearance attempt right there by Matteo Guarini. Guarini will throw in. Dolphins will certainly be in search of a turnover right here and a chance on the attack. Long throw in, headed by Angulo towards Siegel, redirected toward Peterson, but sent away by Borgali. That's Fiuza up to Brill. Brill for Reed. Reed looking to get around Angulo, but now it's Brill giving chase. And once again, Kishenko is there. Kishenko finds Figueroa in the center of the pitch. Figueroa back to Codicelli. Codicelli over to Siegel. Siegel looking for Figueroa. That ball a bit too long. It's taken by the Warriors. Borgali now sends it back for Guarini, and his pass is over the touchline. Dolphins throwing. Under 25 minutes to play in the second half. CSI's deficit is 1. Codicelli throws to Peterson. Gets it back off the redirect, but is dispossessed quickly. Here come the Warriors. This is Gazzoni. Gazzoni and Plaza moving toward the top of the box, but Campos is there, trailing the play. Horn sounds, and Marco Dasso making his way onto the pitch.
Warriors, number 7, Marco Dasso. He replaces number 4, Lucas Piazza.
Looks like Bryant Navarro is going to come on here, as well as Brendan McGuire.
Rofel and Gonzaga off for the Dolphins. Navarro and McGuire in. Dasso on for Nyack. Fiuza off. Well, thank you, Joe, as he waits for Patrick Matchcut to exit the game to let me know that I had them mixed up.
We got a goal, Joe.
Yep, that took my eyes off the action, Nick, as we were getting that sorted out. And Nyack back out in front by 2.
Fans still into this one, not happy with that, of course. But 3-1 lead here, 23 minutes left. Dolphins have some major work cut out for them.
Well, the Dolphins appear a bit perplexed at midfield. Navarro and Peterson exchanging shrugs with one another. Of course, has to be demoralizing after the energy that came with that Dolphins goal. But for the Warriors, they now have a more comfortable lead. They're back in front by 2. Our score 3-1. And now the sense of urgency for the Dolphins is dialed up quite a bit inside of the last 23 minutes to play.
Warriors goal scored by number 9, Mitchell Reed. And substitutions for the Dolphins. 23, Bryant Navarro.
Goal credited to Mitchell Reed for Nyack.
Brendan McGuire.
His second of the game.
Number 9, Samuel Gonzaga. And number 21.
Joe may have to confirm that for us on replay if we get the opportunity. Mick shaking his head no. No replay confirmation. Figueroa had it for the Dolphins. He gives it up to Siegel. Fans starting to make some noise. They are firmly behind this Dolphins team, as that one is sent up toward Campos along the far sideline, and he cannot get a foot on it in play. I mentioned it earlier, for Nyack, if they can close this out, they will be winners of the Bayonne Bridge Cup and victors for the first time this season. The Dolphins hoping to erase a 2-goal deficit in the final 22 minutes. Kishenko and Hamzazevi passing it back and forth. This is Angulo up to Campos. Campos for Peterson. Peterson giving chase against Lugmeyer. He's being forced into the corner.
Right into that downed flag, Joe.
And goal kick, I thought was the call, but it appears as if it's going to be a corner. The Dolphins.
May just be a throw-in.
And you're right, Nick, a throw-in as CSI throws in, and lost possession quickly, but Cotticelli waiting at midfield to gain possession back for CSI. This is Kishenko. Dodges a pair of challenges. Finds Figueroa, who was looking for Angulo. Angulo able to keep possession with CSI, wrapping his leg around the marker and sending that one up towards Siegel and McGuire. Now CSI to throw in again. This is Cotticelli for Angulo. Cotticelli and Angulo moving it back and forth between one another. Angulo maintaining his footing. Nicely done there through a couple of challenges, but the ball moving back in the other direction for just a moment before CSI once again regains possession. Plaza had it for a short time, and throwing in will be Nyack with 20 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. Ball headed by Kishenko toward Peterson. Peterson working against Dasso. This is Reed giving chase. Angulo waiting for him for CSI. Both men collide and play continues as Reed continues to fight for positioning, but Angulo takes it away. Angulo up to Peterson. That was Figueroa looking for Navarro in the middle of the field. Navarro still fighting for possession. He's got it. His pass deflected and knocked down. Angulo with it. Now Figueroa against Plaza. And Goldsby joins, but Angulo comes away with it. Campos. Now Angulo. And Kishenko. Inside of 20 minutes to play as Kishenko sends it up a long way toward Peterson and McGuire. But waiting for it was Rosal. Sliding tackle by Angulo, winning possession back for CSI. Peterson back to Campos. Campos sends it back to Angulo. Now Kishenko. Kishenko for Cotticelli. Cotticelli now gives it up to Navarro. Navarro being challenged by a pair of Warriors, looking for somewhere to go with it and lost his footing, but Kishenko is there waiting for it. He sends it back to Hamza-Zebi. Dolphins struggling to go anywhere on the attack right now, as it appears as if the Warriors are parked back defensively. Right now, 7 waiting behind midfield for Nyack as Peterson gets there, but couldn't get ahead on it.
Right over his head there, right into the keeper's hands.
Rosso with another long kick from goal. Cotticelli got ahead on it, but Reed sends it over to Brill. Brill now overlapped by Gazzoni. He sent one into the middle of the box, and it's cleared away by Angulo.
A lot of speed demons on campus here today, Joe. We're hearing a lot of people flying by. In case you're hearing that in the broadcast, we do not encourage that kind of reckless driving here on campus.
15-mile-an-hour speed limit. You better adhere to it, or public safety will have a word with you. Not sure they'll catch you at that speed, though. Once again, not encouraging the revving of the engines. I actually have seen cars, I'm not sure if they're trying to show off or exactly what it is they're hoping to accomplish, but I have seen cars nearly collide with the railings, burning out and drifting on the way out of here. Some very reckless driving around here.
Perhaps that was the mega fan who was sitting in front of us. He was wearing a Denver Broncos Tim Tebow jersey without the Broncos logo or Tebow, and he had his wristbands on and a Dolphins hat, and you may have heard him in the first half saying, "Let's go Dolphins," but he has left the facility. We'll see if he comes back.
Not sure if a super fan would leave in a 2-goal game. 17 minutes to go. Here is Michael Rofale, who is, as Joe mentioned to me before, sporting the same haircut as his teammate, Patrick Matchcut. So Rofale now enters the game. Matchcut started the second half and came off. Matchcut wears 21, Rofale 22.
And it looks like the super fan, he's still here, but he left the bleachers, and now he's basically on the sidelines with the Dolphins.
He is behind the fence as McGuire, making a run toward goal, fires and past the outstretched arm of Rosal and wide. Good attempt there by Brendan McGuire as the Dolphins get their best opportunity in quite a while.
McGuire using his speed there to get past the defense. Shot just a little wide there, but good aggressiveness there by the Dolphins.
I initially thought it was past the outstretched arm of the keeper, but they're calling the Warriors back into the box. This is going to be a corner kick.
Lucky break here for the Dolphins.
Well, if that's deflected, that speaks even more highly of that shot, as if it's not deflected, who knows if it ends up in the back of the net or not. As this corner kick is sent toward the middle of the box, headed away by the Warriors, and they will look to clear it past Angulo, who sends it back up toward McGuire. McGuire is there. It comes down on his foot. Working against Ingoldsby, he gives it up to Angulo. Angulo sends a ball toward the near post. It's headed away by Bendel, and it will be another Dolphins corner kick.
Limited corners here for the Dolphins all day, but on the four of them, it seems like every time they send it in, Matteo Guarini from Milan, Italy, is there to head it away. Matteo towering over a lot of the opposition here at 6'3".
A lot of size for this Nyack team as that one skips through all of those Warriors positioned outside of the far post, and nobody home for CSI as that one rolls all the way to the midfield trainer's tent. And CSI throws in from there as Siegel is dispossessed by Bendel. This is Gazzoni. Gazzoni goes down between a pair of Dolphins, and a foul is called. Brendan Figueroa didn't like it. Inside of 15 to play now. Warriors will take their time getting set over this ball for a free kick. Angulo gets ahead on that long ball. As Daniel Angulo attempted to get ahead on that one in the midfield circle. There's a good ball through a pair of Dolphins. Reed fires. His shot is blocked. This is Gazzoni. Couldn't get possession of it, but getting a foot on it was a Dolphin, and that will result in a corner kick.
Good to see Gazzoni moving around with no issues after his injury in the first half.
Thought he got back in a bit sooner than he did, but he is certainly back out there now. Actually, that was Albrecht who went down and we thought came back in. And I don't believe Albrecht's been back in the game yet after that bloody nose.
No, Gazzoni was out for about 10 seconds, but Albrecht hasn't been out.
That was a sarcastic welcome, Nick, as Gazzoni went down with what appeared to be an ankle injury. As that one's fired toward goal by Plaza, making a bid for his second, but it's saved by Hamza Zebi. Hamza Zebi sends one toward the midfield stripe, and it's deflected by Lubmeyer. Daniel Angulo heading for Michael Rofale, but the Warriors able to send that one back beyond midfield. Reed was moving backwards with it for a few moments, and he passed it up to Dasso, who is dispossessed, and the ball travels over the touchline for a Warriors throw-in. We're inside of 13 to play in the second half. Dolphins deficit is 2. Angulo gives it up to Rofale. Rofale being chased. He finds Navarro. Back to Angulo, and his redirection winds up with Marco Dasso of Nyack. Figueroa was being challenged by Dasso and was able to get rid of it, but the Dolphins quickly turn it over. Gazzoni looking for Ingoldsby, but that ball too long. Horn sounds. 2 Dolphins will check in.
Returning for the Dolphins, number 8, Brian Carullo, and number 14, Steven Branco.
2 Dolphins checking into the game were Brian Carullo and Steven Branco.
Place number 23, Brian Navarro, and number 13, Brandon Figueroa.
They replace Navarro and Figueroa with inside of 12 to play as that's headed over the touchline by Noah Brill. Another CSI throw-in upcoming. As the clock continues to run, time running out on CSI in their home opener. One goal could make this a lot more interesting very quickly as CSI moves into the attacking third. Campos for Branco, got a foot on it, giving chase, and he is shielded off the ball nicely by Guarini. This is Kishenko. That ball was for Karalu, but he couldn't get there as that one heads toward goal, and Hamzazebi chases it down as a collective gasp for the Dolphins fans for just a moment, but Hamzazebi was on it.
Bendel thought he had a crazy goal there from midfield, but not quite.
Rafael got a foot on it, cleared away by Lugmeyer, who is not happy with his teammates. As Cotticelli will throw in for CSI. 10:38 to play in the second half. Cotticelli throws toward Daniel Angulo. That one shouldered forward. Yeah, they're going to call that handball. Bendel certainly using the arm there. Free kick for CSI. Daniel Angulo to take it. Clock winds down toward 10 minutes. Whistle blows. Here comes Angulo's free kick. He sends it into the box, headed toward the corner. Rafael gives chase. He won't get there, but it's a CSI throw-in. Campos to throw. Whistle blows once again. Not sure if it was a foul call or an offsides, and either way, it is a free kick for Nyack. Inside of 10 minutes to play now in the second half, and it seems like a lot of the steam has come out of the Dolphins fans here at Dolphins Soccer Park. Nyack seems content allowing that ball to roll forward. No one really pursuing it to try and get an attack started. Throw-in belongs to the Warriors as we approach 9 minutes. Substitution coming on for Nyack. That will be number 25. Juan Bernarquia coming in. Bernarquia replacing Javier Plaza.
Entering for the Warriors, number 25, Juan Bernarquia.
Arwen Bendel fires again and didn't get all of it, as Hamzazebi quickly rolls it ahead to Cotticelli. Cotticelli for McGuire, redirects towards Siegel. Siegel able to emerge from a pile of players with it. That's Branco trying to keep possession with CSI. McGuire chases it down. That was redirected off of Karalu. It winds up back with Nyack. Karalu challenging. Siegel follows up, but can't get there. Here comes Bendel trying to play that one through. Finds his man. That was Gazzoni. Gazzoni goes down. That's a good challenge by the Dolphins. No foul there, as both teams were fighting for possession. Here's Brill. His shot is by Hamzazebi and into the back of the net. A well-placed shot there by Noah Brill, and that one likely puts this game out of reach as Brill navigates through the challenge and puts one just inside of the left post.
Brill there sneaks it in the lower left-hand corner, and just a great goal by him, just out of the reach of Omir, and this game is pretty close to being done here. We're going to see some subs here, Joe.
Well, the Dolphins really put a charge into the fan base with that goal to open up the second half. They scored it fairly early in half number 2, but since then, Nyack able to bounce back and extend their lead to 3.
Carl James Gauntlet comes in for Daniel Ingoldsby for the Warriors.
7:51 to play. Clock winding down towards 7:40 here at Dolphin Soccer Park. To the credit of the fans, most of them are still assembled here below us. There has been no exodus of fans following that last goal.
Just a super fan, but can you really be the super fan if you're going to leave early?
Not sure. It's a coveted title. As another corner kick upcoming for the Warriors. That one's headed on goal. Getting ahead on it was Borgali, and it's saved by Hamza Zebi. And he'll be charged with at least 4 goals allowed in this game, but Omer played very well between the pipes for the Dolphins. He faced immense pressure.
Yeah, 8 saves.
Came up big in the first half. That last shot there, potentially unsavable, as he fully extended toward the lower left corner inside the post. Just couldn't get there, as that's Reed waiting on the header. And that is a well-placed ball from the top corner of the box.
Reed wanted the hat trick there.
He sure did, and trying to give credit where it's due on that ball, but hard to see. I think it was Gazzoni who sent that one into Reed, and that's Kashenko who will clear that one over the near sideline. As the horn sounds, 2 more substitutions upcoming for Nyack. Niko Kaczmarczyk is one of those substitutions. He wears number 12.
And Magnus Mester is the other one.
Good teamwork there, Nick. Is a pair of substitutions coming on for the Warriors, who begin to clear their bench in the final 6 minutes of this game. Rofel trying to work through 3 Warriors. And eventually he is dispossessed, but Kirilu wouldn't give up on it. He was looking for Branko on the through ball, but that's knocked down by Lugmeyer. Kashenko working against Dasso as they battled for it atop the box, and looks like we'll get a round 2 here as Kashenko has that one deflect off his chest and out of play.
That ball's going to go over the fence, and a nice job by one of the ball runners to get that ball in. Not an easy job, often a thankless one as well.
You're absolutely right about that, Nick. And of course, we want to give credit to everyone who's up here in the booth today and on camera. Of course, we mentioned Sean Fitzpatrick earlier as that corner is corralled by Hamza Zebi, but give a shout out to everyone before we go off the air with the clock now winding down toward 5 minutes. Our engineer, Joe Masha. Our cameraman is Sean Fitzpatrick. Anita Lorenzo on stats and Sal Caruso, or I should say Anita Lorenzo on PA and scoreboard, Sal Caruso on stats. So that's our crew this afternoon here at Dolphin Soccer Park for this game. As Michael Rofel moves in toward the box, as dispossessed, it travels over the near sideline out of play. We also have Ihab Muhammad and Ryan Liu ball running. I believe I saw Shabari Noir running balls as well. At some point during the game anyway, I saw him down there. I know he ran in game 1. Mike Morrow had an assist in game 1 running balls as well. Saw him on the sideline at the start of today's game.
I believe he's still down there in the tent.
Good place to be in the shade. Wise man. As that one sent well beyond midfield, headed by Kashenko onto the foot of Branko. He is met by Brill, and Brill wins possession for his team. But the ball winds up right back where Brill initially gained possession for Nyack and rolls all the way back toward goal, where it's sent toward midfield and headed by Campos. Siegel heads it up in the air. And I think Patrick Mashcut got back in for the Dolphins. We might have missed it, Nick, as he and Rofel are both out there now for CSI.
Looks like we have an injury for CSI.
Yeah, I think that's Javier Campos who went down.
It might be a cramp. It's holding his leg.
Well, he's being checked on by one of his opponents. Good sportsmanship shown there. And the trainer is called on to the pitch. The clock is not going to be stopped. The trainer is going to be sent back.
Looks like Carl James Gauntlet is trying to help the Dolphins player be dragged off the field, and that seems to be what has happened.
Well, as I mentioned before, it appears as if the outcome of this game is no longer in question with that last goal by the Warriors. Our score 4-1, and play will resume with Campos seated along the far sideline trying to work out what you mentioned, Nick, appears to be a cramp.
So Dolphins will play a man down here.
He better be careful with play now taking place right near him along that far sideline. Ashcott was getting ready to throw in. It looks like they'll allow a substitution as Tariq Eastman checks in. And I guess that will mark an exit for Campos once he is able. Miguel Andrade and Rudy Lopez checking in for the Warriors with 2 minutes left on the clock. Eastman quickly gets his first touch of the game. It's headed away by Guarini. I'm not sure Guarini's come off the entire game, if I'm not mistaken.
Guarini has been a force back there defensively for Nyack.
Said his name quite a bit. He's been active. As Brill wanted another chance, he was frustrated that he couldn't get to that ball. A bit too long as Cotticelli sends it ahead. That's Rofale, and throw in to CSI.
Looks like Campos has gotten up and he's making his way around the net here back to the Dolphins bench.
Good to see him walking off under his own power. Did not need any help from the trainer, who was initially waved onto the field and then told to stay put. As we'll have another CSI throw in with the clock winding down toward 1 minute. For CSI, this will drop them to 0-2 on the season. For the Warriors of Nyack College, it will be their first victory of 2021. They will take home the Bayonne Bridge Cup over the College of Staten Island.
CSI's next 2 games on the road: Wednesday at Dominican, and next Saturday at Mercy for their first ECC game before they return home to Dolphin Soccer Park on Wednesday, September 22nd to play Bloomfield.
Those ECC matchups always exciting as that's sent toward goal, and Rosalis waiting for it. He grabs it out of the air, and this should do it with inside of 20 seconds on the clock. Especially with how long these kicks from goal have been. Is giving chase is Dasso, but Eastman will have none of it. He clears it over the far sideline, and the final 5 seconds will tick off of the clock, marking the end of CSI Dolphins Men's Soccer 2021 home opener. Unfortunately for the fans gathered here, the Dolphins dropped this one by a final score of 4-1, but for Nyack College, they pick up their first victory of the season in what was a very impressive showing for the Warriors.
No doubt about it, Joe. Nyack, the bigger, faster, stronger team today, come away with the victory. They pretty much got all their players into the game there at the end, which was a good thing for them, especially with some of their younger players out there. CSI, just a young team here. This is going to be a learning experience for them, but these tough early games here early in their careers will only make them tougher and grow stronger in the future.
And I think you're absolutely right about that, Nick, and you have to like the resiliency you saw from this Dolphins team to open up the second half. Coming out in half number 2, the Dolphins trailing by a pair, were able to get within 1, but that was as close as they would get the rest of the way. Nyack responds with a pair of goals to close this one out. They win by a final score of 4-1. So as Nick mentioned, CSI Dolphins men's soccer back on the road at Dominican on Wednesday, but also on Wednesday, CSI women's soccer returns home, and that will be our next broadcast. So until then, we thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Our final score, the College of Staten Island dropping their home opener to Nyack College by a score of 4-1.